What if I told you a broke guy down to his last $500 made one decision that everyone around him called stupid and turned it into $50 million? No luck, no rich parents, no second chances. Just one move that felt wrong at the time. The kind of move that keeps you up at night, heart racing, questioning everything. Because if he was wrong, he'd lose it all. And for a while, it looked like he did. But what happened next was so insane, people still don't believe it's real.
This isn't just another get-rich story. This is about a regular guy, no connections, no special skills, who made a decision so risky it almost destroyed him before it changed his life forever. At the time, it didn't look like an opportunity. It looked like a mistake, something you'd regret the second you hit confirm. But what makes this story different is not how it started, it's how close he came to walking away right before everything exploded.
Back in 2012, he was just another broke 20-something trying to survive, working a job he didn't care about, barely covering rent, constantly checking his bank account like it might magically change overnight. It never did. Every dollar had a purpose, every expense felt heavy, and that $500, that wasn't extra money, that was security, that was survival. Lose that and everything falls apart. Then one night, exhausted, half asleep, scrolling through some random online forum, he saw something that made him stop. People arguing, debating, obsessing over something called a new kind of money. No banks, no middlemen, no control. It sounded ridiculous. Honestly, it sounded fake. But the more he read, the deeper he went. Strangers sharing stories, wild predictions, absolute conviction. And for some reason, he couldn't look away. It didn't make sense, but something about it felt different, like he had just stumbled onto something early, something most people wouldn't understand until it was too late.
At first, he tried to ignore it. Told himself it was just another internet trend, another distraction he couldn't afford to fall for. But the idea kept pulling him back in. So he did what most people do. He asked the people around him. And that's when everything got louder. Bro, that's a scam. You're gonna get wiped out. Only idiots throw money at stuff like that. The more he talked about it, the worse it sounded. And the scary part? They all made sense. Because from the outside, it did look ridiculous. No physical product, no real backing, no guarantees, just code and belief. He started going back and forth in his head. One minute, he felt like he had discovered something early. The next, he felt like he was about to make the dumbest mistake of his life. Nights got heavier. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the same question over and over. What if they're right? Because losing $500 wasn't just losing money. It meant stress. It meant falling behind. It meant starting over again. And he was tired of starting over. But there was another voice, quieter, harder to hear. What if they're wrong? That question hit different, because now it wasn't just about losing. It was about missing something that could change everything. Days turned into weeks. Hesitation turned into pressure. And the longer he waited, the harder the decision became. Because deep down, he knew. Whatever he chose, there was no going back.
Then one night, everything went quiet. No more asking for opinions, no more scrolling for answers, no more overthinking. Just him, his screen, and a decision he knew would change something, one way or another. His finger hovered over the button. $500. Weeks of stress, months of survival, all reduced to one click. His heart was pounding so loud, it felt like it might give him away, even though he was completely alone. Every worst-case scenario flashed through his mind. What if this is a scam? What if it goes to zero? What if everyone was right and I'm the idiot? But then, another thought cut through the noise. What if this is the only chance I ever get to be early? That was it. No more waiting. He closed his eyes, took a breath, and clicked. Done. Instantly, regret hit him, a wave of panic. What did I just do? He refreshed the screen. Nothing. Again, still nothing. It felt anticlimactic, almost stupid, like he had just thrown his future into something that didn't even react. Then hours turned into days, days turned into weeks, and suddenly the numbers started moving. Down, fast. His $500 dropped to $400, then $350, then barely $300. And just like that, the doubt came rushing back, louder than ever.
Most people would have folded right there, watched it drop, felt the panic, and hit sell just to stop the bleeding. He almost did. There were nights he hovered over that button, ready to take whatever was left and walk away. But something held him back. Not confidence, not strategy, just a stubborn thought he couldn't shake. If I sell now, I lock in the loss, but if I hold, there's still a chance. So he waited. Weeks passed, then months. Silence turned into small signs of life. The price crawled back up, slowly, painfully. $300 back to $500. Relief hit, but it didn't last, because this thing didn't move like normal investments. It surged, then crashed, climbed, then collapsed. Every spike tempted him to cash out. Every drop tried to break him. But through all the chaos, something bigger was happening. More people were talking about it. Communities were growing. Momentum was building. And without realizing it, he wasn't just holding an investment anymore. He was holding on through a storm that was quietly turning into something massive.
Then, everything changed. Almost overnight, the thing people once mocked exploded into the spotlight. News outlets started talking about it. Big names began paying attention. And suddenly, the same people who laughed, they were asking him how to get in. The price didn't just rise, it erupted. $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. He refreshed his account constantly, heart racing, hands shaking. It didn't feel real anymore. Every number looked like a glitch, like at any second it would all disappear. But it didn't. It kept climbing higher, faster, louder. And with every jump, the pressure got worse. Sell now. Take the money. Don't be stupid. Because now it wasn't about losing $500. It was about risking millions, life-changing money, the kind of money that could solve everything instantly. And still, he didn't sell. Not at $1 million, not at $10 million. Because somewhere along the way, fear had turned into belief. And years later, that single terrifying $500 decision crossed $50 million. From doubt to disbelief to something almost impossible to comprehend.
Here's what hits the hardest. That opportunity, it didn't look like success. It looked like risk, like doubt, like a mistake waiting to happen. That's how the biggest wins always show up, disguised as something you're afraid to touch. And most people, they walk away. Not because they're not smart, but because they need certainty before they move. But by then, it's gone. So next time something feels uncomfortable, uncertain, even a little crazy, ask yourself one thing. Is this fear, or is this the moment that could change everything?